Hi, it's Nell with Joyous Garden, and I have a real treat for you today because I'm at Westerly Orchids in Carpinteria, California, and I am going to talk about the Phalaenopsis Orchid, or the Moth Orchid, which is the most widely sold orchid, and it also makes a really great house plant. So stick around for care tips and to learn more about this beautiful orchid. It's a little noisy in here with the fans and the music and everybody working, so I'm going to have to speak a little bit louder. But this area, the central coast of California, is perfect for growing the Phalaenopsis because they like a nice, even temperature, not too hot or too cold. They like a temperature that's around 60 to 75, and they actually like cool evenings too. So that's why they do so well here. So that's a temperature you want it. You want to keep it away from any heaters. You want to keep it away from air conditioners. You want to keep it out of drafts. Otherwise, it's pretty easy. It likes nice, bright light, and it needs the sun to bloom, but it doesn't like to be in a hot window or against the glass because that will burn it. You can see how it's nice, bright, diffused lighting here, and that's what is best for them. Now, in terms of watering, once a week is best. They don't like to be soaking wet, but they don't like to be too dry either. You have to remember that these are epiphytes. In nature, they grow attached to other plants, so the rain comes and it washes off, and it usually comes pretty frequently. So they're moist, but not soaking wet. So the best thing to do is just take them to the sink, water them thoroughly, let all the water drain out, and then put it back where it lives happily in your home. Now, in the warmer months, you can water your orchid, as I said, every 7 to 10 days, but in the winter, if it's cooler in your house, you might want to water it every 2 weeks. Just back off on the watering. Now, the orchids here are grown in bark, so once every 7 to 10 days is fine, as I said, a week. If your orchid really dries out, you can soak it in a bucket of water for a period of time to really get it to soak that water up. But if your orchid is grown in moss, you might want to water it every 2 weeks instead, because those tend to be overwatered more just because the moss holds more moisture in it. Here's the bark here, as I said, and what that enables is the water to really drain through it. These are the air roots coming out. It has plenty of nice, healthy roots down below. You can see they're green. That means they don't need to be watered. They're nice and moist. And if there's an air root or two sticking out and it bothers you, you can cut it off, just as long as there are plenty of roots down below. And this one could definitely be cut off because it's a dry one. These orchids, because they're growing in bark, they aren't getting any nutrients from soil. They need to be fertilized about once a month. And to make it easy, you can just get a 20-20-20 fertilizer. You can even get one that's formulated for orchids, and you do it at half strength, half the amount it calls for it, and you can just fertilize your orchid once every month to month and a half. I just want to clarify one thing or two things in regards to the fertilizing. If the package or the box calls for, or jar calls for, a teaspoon per quart, what I mean by half strength is you use half a teaspoon per quart of water, and then you water it in every month to month and a half. I talked to another Phalaenopsis grower yesterday and asked him if they fertilize their Phalaenopsis all year long, and he said yes, they do. I just wasn't sure if they fertilized just for a few months out of the year, and then when the plant was resting they didn't fertilize, but they fertilize even when it is resting. And he said that they also use a 20-20-20 fertilizer, water soluble obviously, and if you can't find that, then 15-15-15 or even 12-12-12 would be fine, because remember, orchids are not growing in soil. They need to get the nutrients, and they need those nutrients to bloom again. So how I learned to get them to rebloom is by cutting it two ways. One, you do a node, cut it just above this node at an angle here. That's one way. And then the other way I learned is where it branches here, where the last flower comes off, is to cut it here. Cut it at that angle right above this node here. And you should get reblooming in about 6 to 9 months, depending on what kind of conditions your orchid is in. But it does need to rest for a while because it puts out a lot of energy when it's flowering. So as you can see, these big, beautiful, tall spikes here. Just gorgeous. And if your orchid is not reblooming, it's probably not getting enough light. It needs this nice bright light to rebloom again, so you need to put it in some more light to get it to bloom again. And these orchids like a fair amount of humidity. If your house is really dry, you might want to put them in a tray with water and pebbles. You don't ever want them to sit submerged in the water, but you can put some pebbles in a tray, put some water in that, and then put them on top of that, and that will help to increase the humidity around them a little bit. And if your orchid is not reblooming, it's probably not getting enough light. They need that nice bright light to rebloom again. So if the light's too low, you aren't going to get any flowers. Now in terms of size, the tallest I've seen them is about 2 feet, and sometimes you'll get a single stem, or you'll get these here you can see are double stems. And the cost depends on how many stems and how many flower spikes they have too. There are some shorter ones right over here, which you can see, which aren't in bloom. And then there are some miniature ones, and they come in white, pink, and lavender. When I was in the floral trade ages ago, those were the 3 colors. But now there's yellow, there's splotched ones, and the Westerly Orchids here has the gemstone series, which I'm going to show you at the end. There are blue orchids and purple orchids and ruby-colored orchids. They're just beautiful. This is part of their gemstone series here. This one is black sapphire, blue and lavender. They have ruby-colored ones. They have green-colored orchids, and it's a dye that is specially formulated in Holland. It took years to formulate it, so they are pretty special. So I hope you found this video educational. I had a great time filming it here in the greenhouses at Westerly Orchids. And please subscribe because we have a lot more great videos coming your way. Get out in the garden and let's make the world a more beautiful place. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.